it would be the fourth worst thing. Number 1, supervolcano. Number 2, an asteroid hits the Earth. Number 3, all footage of Evel Knievel is lost. Number 4, Ted calls Karen. Number 5, Lily gets eaten by a shark.
This is Marshall Erickson. Throughout the primary narrative of How I Met Your Mother, Marshall provides the perspective of the man in a committed relationship. He's Ted Mosby's best friend and often serves as a vehicle to demonstrate emotional sensitivity. However, Marshall operates at an extremely reduced capacity during the show's 9th and final season, and his near omission is often considered to be a large part of why How I Met Your Mother's final season felt so unsatisfying to watch. It seems a bit strange to have such a primary character relegated to flashbacks and a few scenes in a car, so what happened here? The process of greenlighting a sitcom can be a tricky thing and goes well beyond just creating something that would be widely considered to be entertaining to the general public. You essentially need to convince studio executives that your show has legs, while affirming that your project can generate profit over multiple seasons. And a huge part of that is in how the show's performers are contracted. Lengthy contracts basically guarantee a level of consistency that writers can expect in exactly who they are writing for. In the case of How I Met Your Mother, the principal performers were contracted for approximately 7 years of production, which is the longest legal contract possible in the United States. This ended up translating to 8 seasons worth of work. The only problem there is How I Met Your Mother was greenlit beyond the initial 8-season order. This didn't pose too large of a problem for most of the show's principal cast. Josh Radnor, Kobe Smulders, Neil Patrick Harris, and Allison Hannigan all signed up to complete the show's final season. Jason Segel, on the other hand, was somewhat reluctant to return for the 9th season. Over the course of How I Met Your Mother, Jason Segel's star power was rapidly growing on the big screen. He had found major success in his role as Peter Bretter in the film Forgetting Sarah Marshall, a film that Segel also wrote himself.
You shall not pass!
His playful performance as an up-and-coming puppeteer garnered a ton of critical acclaim, so much so that he was given the opportunity to essentially bring the Muppets back to the forefront of entertainment in the 2011 film The Muppets.
Citizens of Earth, the great Gonzo is back!
Which would go on to win an Academy Award for Best Original Song. It spawned a sequel and several television shows.
And I don't know that you have taste for.
Thanks, that's very generous.
The final season of How I Met Your Mother also had a somewhat unique structure in juxtaposition to the show's previous seasons. The entirety of the show's final season took place over a single weekend, which meant that the shooting schedule had to be condensed. The final season was shot over a period of 6 months, with each episode requiring roughly 5 days to shoot. Headspace matters. It doesn't matter what you do, your vision for your own future can play a huge factor in your decision-making process. Jason Segel's vision for his career extended well beyond being seen as this lovable sitcom goofball, and when a performer is ready to spread their wings and fly, being attached to a project that you are growing tired of can feel like it's anchoring you to the ground and preventing you to achieve what you see for yourself. Sitcom jobs are one of the most coveted positions in the industry. The work is steady, consistent, lucrative, and predictable. In the beginnings of a blossoming career, attaching yourself to a long-term sitcom contract is, by all means, a smart move. Consistent work means stability, which is a rare commodity for a fledgling actor. However, once an actor starts to break, and by that we mean they start to become a household name and it becomes lucrative for studios to attach the performer to projects, things change. Instead of wondering where your next paycheck is going to come from, you start wondering which paycheck you're going to take. This is where managers and agents come into play. At the time of filming the final season of How I Met Your Mother, Jason Segel was represented by United Talent Agency. This is one of the largest agencies in Hollywood. They know how to market their clients and they know how to get them the right work at the right time. Jason Segel was a hot commodity, and prior to signing the 9th season contract of How I Met Your Mother, he agreed to work on the film Sex Tape with Cameron Diaz. That film was scheduled to shoot in November of 2012, which was smack dab in the middle of How I Met Your Mother's shooting schedule, leaving Segel wholly unavailable to work on episodes 10 through 12. He barely shows up, and most of his scenes were filmed ahead of time. This would have been a significantly smaller problem if the season was structured differently, but the fact that the entirety of Season 9 takes place over such a short period of time makes the exclusion of Marshall's character feel completely strange. It's like he just disappears from the narrative only to reappear without explanation. It probably seemed okay from a production standpoint, but to a viewer, it seems really disjointed. Almost as if the final season is held together with duct tape and staples, rather than being something sturdy and concrete. Another issue Jason Segel had can be tied to creative differences. Creative differences, for all intents and purposes, can be the death knell for any project. From Topher Grace in That 70s Show to Dan Harmon on Community, When essential cast and crew depart over creative differences, it seems like it's only a matter of time before the show runs its course. Jason Segel was having creative differences with the producers in regards to the development of Marshall Eriksen. While the extent of those creative differences are unknown, they were definitely there. When you look at the character of Marshall Eriksen, he definitely seems to degrade over time. In the earlier seasons, Marshall comes off multifaceted and showcases a lot of depth. He's focused on getting through law school. He struggles with doubts, insecurities, and relationships. He is often seen as an extremely positive sounding board for Ted Mosby and is just an all-around good person. Sure, he comes off as a little goofy sometimes, and sometimes he can be overly emotional, but that's all part of what makes his character so great.
What is the matter with you? How could you put us through that? That goodbye was emotionally devastating. A certain delicate flower cried all night in the shower.
And I was pretty bummed too.
We all have those people in our lives that seem like they might be a little too sensitive or a little too dependent on their friends. Marshall Eriksen felt almost a little too goofy.
Fart went to the fart. To fartly. That's good stuff.
In the show's later seasons, and more specifically in the show's final season, Marshall devolves into a parody of himself. His character was relegated to these seemingly zany slapstick bits that feel extremely forced and out of place.
For the last time, I did not leave the bag of oranges you bought on the roof.
These changes in the character didn't resonate well with Jason Segel, who was trying to book more serious roles and felt like continuing this type of work on How I Met Your Mother was almost a hindrance to his career. In a 2013 interview with The Independent, Jason Segel stated that the final 3 years of working on How I Met Your Mother were increasingly difficult, and that he was in need of an artistic check-in. Artists need to grow, or they can easily stagnate and pigeonhole themselves into being typecast. How I Met Your Mother's final season is riddled with problems. This is not a secret. These failures don't all fall on Jason Segel's shoulders, but his character operating at a reduced capacity certainly didn't help. Sitcoms are complicated, and performers can be even more complicated. In the entertainment industry, there are no guarantees. Being attached to the right project at the right time could launch a performer into stardom, seemingly overnight. Inversely, when your career is starting out, you never know when you may have another opportunity, so you might attach yourself to a long-term project to secure yourself a job for the better part of a decade. In the case of Jason Segel and Marshall Eriksen, it was a little bit of both. Segel attached himself to a long-term project, but in the middle of that project, his career began to take off. Not only was Segel reluctant to return to How I Met Your Mother for a final season, he was also hard at work on a number of other projects, which limited his capacity to really bring necessary closure to Marshall Eriksen's story.
Do you have any idea what happened right here in this very bar?
No. What happened?
There's all kinds of stuff.
And that's it for this one, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. You might see a couple links floating in the player window up there, so feel free to click on one of those if you'd like to stick around. And thanks for watching Nerdstalgic.